Okay, let's talk about always on encryption. Always on encryption is a way of encrypting data in a specific column. Now, there's a couple of ways to do it. Always on encryption is one, and there's some advantages and drawbacks to always on encryption. If we encrypt columns individually, then we have to manually encrypt, decrypt all the time in our code when we're trying to access that data. Always on encryption relies on an encryption provider to do that for us. So that's one of the drawbacks. A nice thing with always on encryption, however, is always on encryption will actually let you encrypt data in such a way that your database administrators cannot get to it. So that might be something we need to think about for regulatory compliance. You'd have a highly trusted user, database administrator, who's not allowed to access that data. Always on encryption will accomplish that. Some other encryption methods won't. So let's start with this. I'm going to expand my AdventureWorks database. I'm going to expand my tables. I'm going to find sales LT sales order header. And I'm going to expand my columns so you can see all the columns that are involved here. And one of them is going to be the customer account number. That's not normally something I'd have to encrypt, but it sounds like a fun thing to do today anyway, so we're going to go with it. So I'm going to start by showing you what this looks like at the moment. So I'm going to use AdventureWorks 2012. I'm going to select, and I'm going to do something weird here. I'm going to leave this blank, and I'm going to say from sales LT dot sales order header. Now there's a reason I did it in this reverse order. I haven't told it what I want to select yet. So now I'm going to start typing in the things that I want. And I want the order date. Okay, and here is my order date. Now, the reason I did the from first is because from told the database engine, this is where I'm getting the data from. So now it's going to start populating my pop-ups or my column headers. Had I not done the from first, then I would have to type that all the way out. So order date, I want the customer ID, and I want the account number. And down arrow and tab to get it. So when I execute this query, it's going to give me order date, customer ID, account number. Okay, now let's play with this always on encryption. So I'm going to right click on account number, and I'm going to go to always encrypted wizard. Now I can do it from other places. I can do it from the database. It's going to bring me to the same place. Here's the difference though. Because I selected on a column, it's automatically going to populate that. So I can say, yes, this is what I want. All right. Name for the key. I do not have a key created for this yet. So unlike the transparent data encryption, this is going to generate a key for me. Now, if I had more than one, I could just select it, but it's going to CEK auto and auto 1 and saying this is new. And then I need to decide what I'm going to do here. So I can use the same, if I have multiple columns, I can choose to use the same type of encryption for all the columns, or I can come down here and select what type I want. So there are two types here, randomized and deterministic. A deterministic one will encrypt it, but it's going to encrypt it the same way every single time. Right, so if I have two, this would be a bad idea, but let's say I had two account numbers that were identical. If I use deterministic encryption, then it would encrypt both of them the same way. They're going to show up identically in the queries when I pull the data that's encrypted. And so somebody could see that, and there are ways that they could try to manipulate that. If I do a randomized, then there's going to be some seed values thrown in that's going to make it different every single time. So if I had the two values that were identical, when I encrypt them, they show up differently and people won't know, hey, it's the same value. All right, so I'm going to do a randomized because it's a little more secure. If I want the same thing for everybody, then I just apply this, or for every table. I've only got one, so that makes it easy. Then I'd apply the same encryption scheme to all of them, and I'd click my down arrow, and there we go. All right, let's click OK, and that looks good. Master key configuration, we're going to auto-generate a master key for this. We're going to store it in the Windows certificate store. We're going to select a master key source, and we can do it for a current user or for the local machine. If I have a previously generated master key, I can use that, but this will automatically create one for me since I don't, at least not for this type of encryption. Do we want to do this? Okay, this is a little bit interesting because always on encryption can be set up fairly simply or fairly complex. And so you'll notice what it says here. There's no additional configuration required because your database does not have an enclave enabled. So here's one of the drawbacks to always on encryption. There's some things you cannot do with fields that are encrypted using always on encryption. You can't do joins, you can't index them, you can't do comparison operators against them. So that's a little bit of a challenge. Well, one of the ways you can solve that is by creating an enclave. And it's a secure enclave, and it's a fairly complex configuration, which is why I'm not going to worry about it right now. And normally requires another machine that can be that secure enclave. Then that data can be shipped to that secure enclave where it can be decrypted. There you can do your joins, you can do your comparisons, you can build your indexes, whatever. And then it can be sent back over to the SQL server to finish running the process on it. Now, I'm not worried about any of that at the moment. I just want to show you how you can activate this, but be aware that that is a drawback to always on encryption, and that is a way to help mitigate some of those challenges. So I'm going to click next because I'm not worried about that. I don't need that enclave. I can choose to do this either offline or online. Offline is the default. I'm going to be okay with that. I can also generate a PowerShell script to run later and enable verbose logging if I think that I might need more logging information. But I can actually take this offline because nobody's using it. It's a sample database. So I'm going to click next and finish, and this is going to start encrypting for me. Now, this process is actually going to take it a couple of minutes. It's not horribly long. And this is in the AdventureWorks database. Larger database, more data, longer encryption process. But I'm going to go ahead and pause the video while this finishes, and then we're going to come back and pick it up again once we're done with our encryption process. Okay, here we go. We're done with our encryption process. Says everything passed, so that all sounds promising. I'm going to click close. And then I want to rerun this query and see if this data is actually encrypted now. So remember, this is my account number. I just encrypted that account number. So I'm going to re-execute my query, and sure enough, there we go. Our account numbers are encrypted. All right. And remember, if I wanted to access that and display it in an unencrypted fashion, then I've got to, just like with any other column level encryption, I have to unencrypt it using that provider. So let's turn that encryption off just so you can see how to do it, right? You may want to do that at some point. So this time I'm going to just start up here at AdventureWorks. And again, I could go down to the actual table, but we're going to do the always on encryption. And we're going to look at, and this time I'm going to find it here. So sales lt.sales order header. There we go. Let's expand that one. And we're going to find right here our account number is set to randomized. All right. I want to change this. So I'm going to let me select it. That'll probably help. Now I have the option to change it. So here I can change the key. Here I can change the method. So randomized deterministic, we talked about that earlier. If I want them to go back, then I set this to plain text. And that will actually unencrypt. No assignment is required since no columns have been selected for encryption. Okay, or no assessment. Yeah, no assessment. Master key configuration doesn't matter. In-place encryption settings doesn't matter because I'm undoing it all. And I'm going to go ahead and do it now. All right, so that's going to hopefully unencrypt my column. And if everything works well, I should be able to rerun my query and see that everything has been unencrypted. Now, obviously, we're not going to want to encrypt and unencrypt every single time. So that's where we start writing our queries to manage this. So just to see that it worked, we're going to execute, and there's our data back. Okay, there we are. That is turning on and off always on encryption.